everyone, this is a guide for everybody taking the WJEC Foundation Tier paper, and I'm just going to go through today some of the items from the reading paper just to help put your minds at ease and help you to understand what to expect in the paper. So I'm going to start just with the length of the exam. If you have extra time, it gives you the breakdowns for what to expect. So the normal amount of time allowed for this exam is 2 hours. If you're somebody who has 25% extra time, that's 2.5 hours. And if you're somebody that has 50% extra time, that's 3 hours in total. But do remember that's for the reading paper and writing paper combined. So what to expect from the reading paper? You get 2 texts in the reading paper which are linked on a theme. Now these texts are unseen, so we can't prepare you for what they're going to be about, but just how to approach them. Here's an example of one, and this was from the paper a couple of years ago, which is an extract from Alan Sugar's autobiography. So this was the first text that you got given. And the second text was about a 12-year-old boy who was suspended from school for selling chocolate bars to his friends. So the texts have a link. And as I said, they could be about anything. So we can't prepare you for that. I just want you to pause for a second and think, what is it that link these 2 articles? Do you have a think? Well, first of all, the texts are linked on a topic or a theme, and this time round it was entrepreneurship. And what they're doing is giving 2 different arguments. But sometimes in the paper you just need to be a little bit careful because they are similar rather than different. So moving on to the questions. This is a typical kind of question paper. You can see that it's quite busy. There's lots of information on the page. At the top there's some text in italics. So if you look at the slanted writing, this gives you some instructions. Moving down, the writing in bold tells you where to look to help you find the information for the questions, and then you've got the questions and mark allocations in brackets. So zooming in on that first section, it says answer all of the following questions. Now that's really, really important. There are always people who miss questions, so make sure you read all the questions and answer them. And then it tells you that one is a newspaper article and the other is an autobiography. So it gives you a hint on the purpose of the articles. Question 1 then, moving on, it tells you to read the newspaper article, so that text in bold directs you to what to look at. And then this question is quite nice. It gives you 4 smaller parts to the question, so if it goes wrong on one part then you can still pick up the marks for the others. And this question's asking you to find and retrieve information. So in other words, can you find it in the text and write it down? And if you put bullet points or a list for this one, then that's absolutely fine. You'll still pick up all the marks. Question 2 is asking you what sort of person Robbie Twigg is. Now it's asking you to make some kind of inference here, isn't it? Or dig deeper, as my class calls it. It's asking you to make an assessment of what sort of person he is. Those bullet points, although they say you should write about, that means you have to write about. It's not an option. If you want to get those marks, you have to write about them. And you're being asked there to analyse information and the writer's techniques. So if there's any you can remember that you've picked up, that's when you should be writing them. Question 3, it tells you to read the extract from Alan Sugar's autobiography for this one and asks you what Alan Sugar did to start up and then develop his own business. Okay, so like question 2, it's asking for a little bit more. There's some digging deeper that needs to happen here. And what you're really looking for here, or what the examiner's looking for, I should say, is if you can understand the text, select the right quotes and analyse. In other words, that's using your point, evidence, explain if you've learnt that technique. Question 4 is the hardest question on the paper. So it asks you to use both texts to answer the question. So this one is asking you to compare them. So you might be looking for similarities or you might be looking for differences when you're comparing. In this case, the question's asking you to look for similarities. It's asking you to find what they sold and the problems they had. Now this one asks you to look for information and be able to make comparisons, and lots of people find that skill difficult. I'm going to post a separate tutorial for answering the comparison question. So finally, my 4 top tips for this exam. Firstly, read the questions first and highlight the keywords so that you know what you're being asked to look for. Secondly, read the first article you're being asked about and answer question 1 quickly because it's easy. Just do a list style answer and remember to give 1 point per mark. 3, answer questions 2 and 3 using point, evidence and explain. And number 4, finally, leave the most time to answer the comparison question because it's harder. And just remember, if you do get stuck, don't panic. Move on to a bit of the paper that you can do. Okay, that's it from me. I hope you all liked the video.